Hello. So I see it looks like we have one person this morning. So I'm just going to wait a little bit to see if anyone else comes in. If not, then I will go ahead and proceed and hopefully people will come in later. I do know it's the holiday. I really wanted to do this earlier this week. However, I got caught up in some things, life things, and those things took a priority. And so now I'm here. So I think I'm also gonna put my headset on here for the purposes of sound. Okay. You probably hear me. I'm gonna mute this while I do that. Okay, good. I needed to put my headset on for the purposes of sound quality. And it looks like two people are here. I really did not expect many people to be here this morning because, like I said, it is the weekend. Shay Shay, it's the weekend. Come on in. Where are the people? Come on in. That's what I say. It is a holiday weekend. I am going to go over this. As you know, those of you who do listen to me, and I'm saying this even for people who are going to come in afterwards, like after the stream is over, like even next week sometime. So, as you know, I like to give information, be informative. I also like to provide news. The main purpose of the channel is to do the Real Housewives segments, which I'm going to be doing Beverly Hills at some point today. And I'm off work Monday, so that's a good thing. So I have the whole weekend to do some things here, but we do have some plans tomorrow that I'm going to attend to. So I'm trying to get it all in today, and we may be grilling out today too. Who knows? Who knows? With that Delta variant going around, I'm just a little concerned about being out in public a lot because they are saying, some people are saying that the Delta variant is actually coming from people who are vaccinated, allegedly. And I have to say allegedly because I don't have enough information on that to really say that at this point. So we're talking about doxing today. In case you don't know what doxing is, it is a way to find out very private and sometimes very intimate information about other people, whether they be online or offline. Access to the internet, or what used to be called the information highway, has made that so much easier. At one point in our society, privacy was, it was an intricacy, it was a privilege, it was a right. We have rights to privacy, and those laws are still existent. The internet has not removed those laws. However, we are beginning, as many of you can see, we're beginning to work within a different government. We really are. The people who are of the government are not even abiding by the Constitution, even upwards to the Supreme Court. And I'm going to get into that, but not today. I'm going to go ahead. You know what? I think I am going to have to call you all who do come over to my channel the Breezies. I know that people have like different names for people who come over to their channels, because you all just breeze right on through. You come over here, you catch a breeze, see what's going on, and then on to the next. So I think I'm going to call you all the Breezies. So That's okay as well, because sometimes that's just life. We have to just breeze right through. Okay. Plus, a good breeze makes you feel good. So you come over here to feel good about some things and to get information, to expand your brains, and to also receive updates on Real Housewives. And as you know, recently I did a couple of segments here on the Avatar. So, but so let's just breeze right on into it. I want to talk to you about doxing. And to start, I'm going to read the bulk of information from a source. I was searching for it online. I even went to the library. No one really has any books out on doxing right now. So if anyone is an author or a wannabe author, that's a good topic for you to cover right now about how our privacy is so easily invaded, even though the laws are still in place for us to have that privacy. Um, the term doxing is short for dropping docs. It's nouveau spelling is like doxxing or doxing, but it's slang for documents. Typically, doxing is it's a malicious act. It's used against people with whom uh, hackers disagree with or that they dislike. For example, uh, the the avatar, I'm not going to say the name, but the avatar that is out there on these YouTube streets nowadays used doxing to locate information, or perhaps one of her former panel members gave her the information, but she put information on YouTube about one of her former panel members that her panel member had not even put out there about herself yet. And even though I think the panel member has since, exposed it to some degree, I'm not going to expose it here. But that is an invasion of privacy. That is a form of doxing. And she used another guest who was supposed to be interviewing her to expose that information. And so that's an example of that. There's a lot of doxing going on online nowadays. It is the act of revealing, identifying information about someone online, such as their real name, their home address, workplace, phone numbers, financial information, husbands, wives, children, and other very personal and intricate information. That information is then circulated to the public using things like social media without the victim's permission. And the people that happened to are victims. Okay. Now, I want to say if you have something out there online about yourself that is already publicized, then it's, you know, it's public information. That's really not doxing, because when you put things out there publicly about yourself, you are giving people permission to some degree to use it. You know, unless you have some sort of software in place, which I'm going to go over with you here shortly. There's a software you can put in place where people cannot just pick up your photos and your personal information and attach it to anything that they're doing. I'm also going to talk to you about how to have your information removed. Okay. Um, Now, while the practice of revealing, and this source that I'm using is from a company called Kaspersky. Out of all of the research I did, their research was the most detailed. They really laid it out. So this source that I'm using is from a company called Kaspersky. That's Kaspersky. I think they are an internet technology protection company or something like that. So while the practice of revealing personal information without one's consent, it predates the internet. The term doxing actually first emerged in the world of online hackers back in the 1990s. Now, the 1990s is where our privacy was still respected to a large degree. and our, anonymity was really considered very sacred. But what happened was that was whenever people started opening up to the internet and what at that time would be called the information highway, there were feuds between software designers, kind of internet type of feuds. There's only a certain culture that gets in those types of feuds. I do not understand it. Um, they get in these types of feuds because they want to disrespect someone else's space. I want to pause here and say, I know it's Saturday morning and you guys are, I don't know if you're cooking eggs or, I've already cooked breakfast for us, but, people are cooking whatever. But, you know, go ahead and hit the like button if you would and leave a comment and also subscribe. There are a few of you, very few in this room, but I'm also speaking to people who would come on afterwards as well. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed. But the hackers, they would get into these large feuds back in the 90s. And so they started hacking into each other's information and doing what they call dropping docs on each other. They would drop a docs here, drop a docs there. Um, they would take the username or the alias and really locate the person online based on the person being very consistent with that same username and alias. That's why nowadays people say you need to use a different name, username, and password for every account that you have. Um, so it is, it's unmasking people. That's what doxing is. It's unmasking people. Um, it's just become, privacy has just become so less, relevant today that I don't know what's going to happen. But people, they can get your workplace details, your personal phone numbers, your social security numbers even. They can even get your bank account or your credit card information, any private correspondence and criminal history that you may have. They can get all of that through using even your IP address, personal photos, and some of the stuff is embarrassing because I know for me, I love my privacy. So whenever, I love my privacy and I do feel like I have a right to my privacy. And whenever if I expose something to you, then that means I want to put it out there. I want you to know it. If I do not expose something to you, that means I may not want it out there. And it's highly disrespectful for people to go in and try to locate that information anyway. Um, but doxing attacks can range from, um, relatively just trivial things like ending up with pizza deliveries coming to your house that you didn't order. Email signups. That's why whenever so look at your emails, if you didn't receive, if you don't know the person who's sending you that email, you need to right click the button and send it to spam immediately. If you don't know them, that's what you need to do. Good morning, love my dogs too. Hi. Yeah, and I did go over that. Love my dogs too. I did share with everyone if your information is public and you've put it out there, then you're giving people permission to use it. But love my dogs too, I'm going to go over a way here shortly to show you how you can keep people from even using that. Okay? Because you may go public for your own reasons as well, like on Facebook and, Twitter and places like that. And Twitter, I know for a fact if someone clicks on your name that you use in Twitter, they can get your IP address, they can get everything. There are ways to protect that though. I'm going to go over that with you. Um, some examples, um, when you start getting, some people have received home deliveries for things that they didn't order. Um, And then there are things that have been very dangerous, such as being stalked or harassing a person's family, or even going to people's employment location. Identity theft is a huge thing with doxing. People make threats. It's just a lot. They do in-person harassment depending on how psychotic they are. So Kaspersky, which is my source, goes on to name some very specific examples that I'm going to read off to you verbatim. They talk about, and I'm not going to name the people that they're talking about, because I love to protect people's privacy as much as possible. But these are major companies, and you probably could search that yourself. But they talk about one example where the Procter and Gamble's Gillette, when they released something called a "We Believe" ad, that their chief brand officer had his LinkedIn profile shared on a poster, which caused other people to send him very angry communication. Um, then in 2011, and I remember this when this happened actually, uh, and some of you may remember this, whenever there were like 7,000 law enforcement members who were actually investigating hacking. These were members who were investigating hacking in their precincts, and someone actually released all of their information. They hacked into their work information and released it. And this is law enforcement. And you would think they would have had the highest degrees of protection, even in 2011. Um, People feel they have been attacked or insulted by their target. So the people who go in and dox other people feel like they've been attacked or insulted in some way, and they look for a revenge as a result. Or if someone is in the public eye and they become, known for their controversial opinions and things like that, that could cause them to become a target for, for other people who have opposing viewpoints and things like that. So I want to, let's see here. Um, some of the methods that people use to dox you is they track your username. Okay, that's why, as I shared with you earlier, you should use a different username and a different password for every single account that you come up with, that you create. Many people do use the same username across a wide variety of services, and it really is just for memory purposes. You want to be able to remember. But you can go into, um, and I hate to give the name of a company because, Best Buy, you can go into Best Buy and get a password book. Get yourself maybe one or two of them actually while you're at it. And you can keep things that way and then keep it locked away in your home where only you know where it is. A lot of people use the online, I forgot what it's called, but there's an online website where you can put your username and passwords to your websites. I don't advise putting anything online that you can't, like a password or a username. I just do not recommend that at all. But a lot of people use it. It's a password website where you can go in, put in your passwords and websites. Why would you do that online? You're trying to protect yourself from online. If a hacker can hack into uh, different places online and get your information, they can certainly hack into that. Then they will have access to everything. So I would just say, get one of those books. That's what I do, and just keep it, put it away. But whenever you use the same username and password, it does allow potential doxers to build up a picture of whatever your interests are and how you spend your time online. And a lot of people are able to bring all of the information together and just figure out the puzzle. Um, there are other things known as who is searches. People will dox you through like who is searches. Anyone who owns a domain name has their information stored in a registry that is often publicly available through something called a who is search. Suppose the person who bought the domain name did not obscure their private information at the time of purchase. In that case, personally identifying information such as your name, address, your phone number, your business, your email, that's all available online for anyone to find you. Um, Another method that people use, and this is used with companies a lot, is called phishing. A lot of you may be familiar with that. Is if the person uses an insecure email account or falls victim to a phishing scam, the hacker can then uncover very sensitive emails and post them online. So phishing is another way. Another way is stalking social media. And again, if you're here, because I do see the numbers of people here that are not in the chat, if you could please give me a like, and also subscribe to my channel. I'm just going to pause here and say I do Real Housewives commentaries. I also do In the News. I talk about current events, and I also provide very valuable information like what I'm providing to you this morning on doxing. Okay, so I'm going to proceed. So, stalking social media. If your social media accounts are public, anyone can find out information about you by cyber stalking you. They can find out your location, your workplace, your friends, um, all the photos that you like and dislike, the places that you visited, the names of your family members, what they look like, your pets, and just so on and so forth, things like that. A doxer may even work out the answers to your security questions just based on what they're seeing. Doxers have been able to do that. There are some prime examples of that here. I'm not going to go into all of those with you. I'm just going to give you the very basics, but it helps them to break into other accounts of yours. But one of the things that you can do about the places you visited, a lot of people, once people have your IP address, your name, and things like that, and they know where you live, and then you are thereby online taking pictures of yourself on vacation, you and your whole family are out of the house now, right? Taking pictures on vacation, and it's present. You should not do that live. If you're going to go on vacation, go ahead, take pictures, upload videos. Then when you get back home, upload them to your social media and share them. I would not share them. I would not recommend sharing them live while you're away. That's how people figure out things about you. And also be careful with what you wear when you're on your social media. As we know the case about Kim Kardashian, she used to wear her jewels and things on her person. And so people would go, uh, and try to, get into their home. I feel bad for people who are in the public eye like that. They never really catch a break. They have to have security. That's a bill they're going to always have to pay. So she even said herself, she no longer wears her jewelry, and she didn't have it on yesterday. She posted something at the Vatican. She doesn't wear her jewelry. Um, and that was a good idea, but what a hard lesson learned, you know? And one of the ways that people also get your information is sifting through government records. There's a site called voting.com where you can go on there, and if you put in the city, you put in the person's name, whether or not they're Democrat, Republican, Independent. It shows their address or the vicinity of their address, all those things. Um, you need to go in there and clean that out if you are online. Every online website is supposed to have a way for you to opt out of having your information there. Follow that process. Okay. But while most personal records that are governmental are not online, there is a fair amount of information that can be gleaned over government websites. Examples include databases of business licenses, county records. I just gave you an example about the voting one. Marriage licenses, DMV records, voter registration logs. That's the example actually that I gave to you. These all contain the very basic personal information about you. And I did mention tracking IP addresses. Doxers can use various methods to discover your IP address. It's linked to your physical location, your IP address is. So once they know it, they can use social engineering tricks on your internet service provider, and that helps them to discover more information about you. For example, they can, file complaints about, the owner of the IP address, um, and attempt to hack into the network, that way using, very deceptive processes. Um, Also, reverse mobile phone lookup. That's like we all have mobile phones, okay? Once hackers know your mobile phone number, they can find out more about you that way as well. The reverse phone lookup services, like, the white pages, um, they let you type in a phone number or any telephone number to find out the identity of a person who owns the number. I know with the white pages now, I think you have to pay for an advance part of that now. Um, they charge fees to provide anything beyond the city and the state that's associated with the phone number. But the point is, there are some people who are doctors who are willing to pay those fees. Okay. Um, and that helps them to discover the additional personal information. Also, there's something called packet sniffing. This is sometimes used in relation to doxing. It refers to doxers who intercept your internet data, looking for your passwords, your credit card numbers, your bank account information. They do it through old email messages. What they do is they connect to an online network, and they crack its security measures, and they capture the data that is flowing in and out of that network. Um, so one way to protect yourself from that is getting a VPN. You can get a VPN, and God rest his soul, I would say through McAfee, but as you know, John McAfee passed away, and even right before he passed away, McAfee online was having some issues with hackers. Even before that, um, John McAfee was a very wealthy technologist and recently passed away, I think, over in Spain, in prison, for something that he was saying he had not done and that he was set up for. Y'all, that's McAfee. That's a big deal. McAfee is a big deal. A lot of companies used McAfee security, and consumers used it. Um, but I digress on that topic. That's one of my in the news topics that I'm going to be working on this week, because there's some really interesting information connected that has connected something he tweeted to what happened in Florida with the building coming down. There's some really interesting information out there about that I want to discuss, but I'll do my research and do that on my in the news segment next week. Um, People also use data brokers to hack into your account. Data brokers, what they do is they collect information about people, and they sell that information for a profit. So they're like, investigators online. You have your traditional investigators, then you have these people. Um, they gather information from publicly available records, loyalty cards, with what your buying behavior is like, your search histories. The data brokers, many of them sell your information to advertisers, but several people search sites offer a more comprehensive record about individuals for small amounts of money. And then all a doxer has to do is pay a small fee to obtain the same information from a data broker. Okay. Um, Basically, people, through that process, they can get small pieces of information about you, as I shared with you earlier, that's scattered across the internet. And depending on the intellect of their mind, they can build up a picture that leads them to uncovering a real person behind the alias, including the person's name, their physical address, their email address, their phone number. Um, and so there's something going on online now where people have been able to uncover the avatar over there with the site called All About the Tea. People have been able to uncover her through doxing. That's the process they've used. Um, the next thing that I want to share with you about doxing. I've just shared with you what it is. I've shared with you how people the easy access that people have and how they access it. So, is doxing legal? Now, Kaspersky says this, and I'm going to read it verbatim. I don't agree with this. However, this is what they said. They're saying that doxing usually is not illegal. It tends not to be illegal if the information exposed lies within the public domain and it was obtained using legal methods. That said, depending on your jurisdiction, doxing may fall foul of laws designed to fight stalking, harassment, and threats. It also depends on the specific information revealed. For example, disclosing someone's real name is not as serious as revealing their home address or telephone number. However, in the United States, doxing a government employee falls under federal conspiracy laws and is seen as a federal offense. Now, isn't it funny how they're saying that if you do it to a government person, it's different than if you do it to a normal citizen? That's I just whenever I read the Privacy Act, I disagree with that, because it protects all of us, under the same degrees. But because doxing is a relatively recent, and I'm reading this from Kaspersky, because doxing is a relatively recent phenomenon, the laws around it are constantly evolving and are not always clear cut. Regardless of the law, doxing violates many websites' terms of services and therefore may result in a ban. This is because doxing is usually seen as unethical and is mostly carried out with malicious intent to intimidate, blackmail, and control others, exposing them to potential harassment, identity theft, humiliation, loss of jobs, and rejection from family and friends. I want to just pause here and say the doxing that's happening over there, and I keep using the avatar as an example, the avatar on All About the Tea. I do not disagree with doxing the avatar. And the reason is because the avatar hid behind an avatar and exposed information about former panel members and said things about even in the entertainment industry, was really saying some very degrading and derogatory, nasty, mean things about people. Um, so Shay, you're saying what about showing their pics? Um, if their pics are on Facebook or if their pics have been made public in other parts of the internet, or even if they put up posters and flyers that have their pics on it, and you come home and you what do you call, you scan it and you put it up. Well, the pic was already made a poster on some pole somewhere, you know? So that's not private information because the person has made it public. It is those things that are not private, that are not out there, that people go digging for, and they find them through the uses that I just shared with you, like IP addresses and data brokers and people like that. Does that answer your question? So if you make something public, people can use it. However, what you can do, Shay, is you can put, for example, on Facebook, right above your picture, on Facebook, and I forgot what it is, but you can put a copyright statement right beside your photo on Facebook, or you can even put a copyright statement somewhere in the beginning so that people see they can't use anything on your Facebook. You can do that. And you can, even after having done that, you can go and actually pay to have it copyrighted. Okay? So if you do something like that, they can't use it. And you've made it clear and plain that they can't use it. Okay? This is how to protect yourself from doxing. I want to pause here and just say if you're on here, because I do see some other people have shown up, if you're on here, please go ahead and click the like button. I'm giving you some very valuable information this morning. And I'm also wanting you to know that I do in the news segments. You'll see if you come back on here or if you click the notification bell, subscribe and click the notification bell, you will see that I have something called ITN. It means in the news with Bree. Okay. So you can come back here throughout the week. I try to do that segment at least once a week. And I also do the Real Housewives segments and some reality shows. I love doing commentary on those. And so now I'm going to proceed again. How to protect yourself from doxing. You can protect your IP address by using a VPN. There are a lot of companies out there that will secure your Wi-Fi so that when you're online, no one will even know that you're online. You have a company, there's WebRoot. You also have the company Kaspersky, which is the company that I'm providing you information from this morning. They had the most detailed information that I could find about doxing. Um, McAfee also, but again, I want you to tread lightly with McAfee because of what is going on, with the recent death of John McAfee, who was the founder of McAfee. So just pay attention to that. I'm not saying they're not safe, okay? And this is all alleged whenever I'm talking about something outside of what I'm reading to you. Um, so there's those three. There's McAfee, Kaspersky, WebRoot. There's something called ExpressVPN. Um, I like having companies that have phone numbers. Some of the companies out there where you can get VPNs, you can get them, and the fees are they're so low. You can literally pay between $20 and $50 per year just to protect your online. That's worth it. Okay. Um, but here's some ways that you can protect yourself from doxing. Uh, you can protect your IP address by using the VPN. A VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network, offers excellent protection against exposing IP addresses. It takes the user's internet traffic, it encrypts it, and sends it through one of the service's servers before heading out to the public internet. And it allows you to browse the internet anonymously. Um, it keeps your communication private and ensures that you're not exposed to phishing and malware and viruses and other cyber threats, because if people can see your real Wi-Fi or your real internet connection, and they can get through there and start sending you emails and phishing and things like that, then that's where malware and all of those negative beings come into play online. But if they click on something or can't click on something that is a VPN, they cannot get to you. So that's one of the ways that you can protect yourself. The other thing is to just really practice good cybersecurity, is what Kaspersky says. You want to make sure you have an antivirus and malware detection software, because that stops doxers from stealing information through malicious applications that they use. Regularly updated software helps to prevent any security holes that could lead you to being hacked and doxxed. So you want to get a VPN and you want to practice good cybersecurity. What are you saying, Zer? Seems as long as billionaires own the internet, unless we advocate for proper laws, users, creators will have to protect their interests. We can also remove our info from public databases on dark web. Okay, and I think that there's something here about that too, Zerxer. Okay, um, thank you, Quan, Atlanta Empress. Thank you. I guess you're talking about me when you say beautiful pic. You're talking about my avatar. That's what I really look like, unlike some avatars, out here in these YouTube streets. They like to come on and talk crap, and then they hide behind a fake avatar. And they like to come on and embarrass their panelists and say lies and things about them. But I digress on that topic. You can look at some of my other videos on here to see who I'm talking about. Um, so you want to practice good cybersecurity. You also want to, guys, please use strong passwords. A strong password normally includes a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters plus numbers and symbols. So you want to avoid using, as I shared with you earlier, I shared this, avoid using the same password for multiple accounts, and make sure you change your passwords regularly. If you have problems remembering passwords, try using a password manager. So um, that's what Kaspersky says, right? I'm going to take that a step further with your password and say use statements. Use statements, even statements that you otherwise would not use. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's something you say all the time and someone else knows you say it all the time, then that could, bring in a problem for doxing. So use statements, that you would not share with other people, use, a combination of words that might not make sense, something like that. Okay. And don't use your favorite numbers and colors and things like that, even for the questions. So I would take it a step further and say that. Okay. Hi, Candy. Is it Candy or Candy? Hello, everyone. I'm so grateful you're here. I'm going to pause. I'm going to be finishing up here in a couple of more minutes, and then I want to hear some of your input if you want to come on and talk about anything. I am going over doxing this morning. So if you're here, I would like for you to please click the like button because I'm giving you some very valuable information about ways to protect yourself. Who wouldn't like that, Also, please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell, because when you click the notification bell, I'll be bringing other topics to you. You'll be able to come over here and hear the updated information. You'll also be able to hear my in the news segments and what I'm thinking about what's going on in the news. I have a vast amount of information I'm trying to gather together to bring next week for you. Also, I talk about entertainment like Real Housewives shows and reality shows on the OWN network. There's one coming on, Love and Marriage Huntsville, comes on July 17th. I'm definitely going to be here talking about that. So now I'm going to proceed. So as I just said, you want to use strong passwords. You also, as that we've gone over, I probably said this several times, use separate usernames for different platforms, because if you are using online forums like Reddit, 4chan, Discord, YouTube, or others, you want to make sure you use different usernames and passwords for each service. By using the same ones, doxers could search through your comments on different platforms and use that information to compile a detailed picture of you. Using different usernames for different purposes will make it more difficult for people to track your movements across multiple sites. And again, after this is over today, if you want to go and get this information I was sharing with them earlier, I went to the library. There are not a lot of books on doxing in the library anyway. I probably should have gone to Barnes and Noble. There may be a really great amount there, but I didn't go to Barnes and Noble. But I did find this information on Kaspersky.com/resource center. So you can go there, and they had the most detailed information that I found out there. I mean, it was I'm only going to touch a small amount of the information that compared to what they had. Um, so let's see here. So you're saying scammers don't like this information because they have to work harder? Are you talking about me, Quan, Atlanta Express? They don't like people giving this information because they have to work harder. Well, they shouldn't be working at all. I mean, you can work as legitimate and do something really great for society. You put that same energy in doing something very legitimate and really great for society. So, but I digress on that. I want to go ahead and go over some of this other information because it's coming to an end here. You also want to create separate email accounts for separate purposes. Okay? You don't want to use the same email account. Google allows you to use, you know, multiple email accounts. You can do that. Yahoo, some of the others allow the same thing. You can even go on different domains that are offered and set up your own email account with your own name, and then do things that way. There are different domains that will allow you to use, for example, blog media breeze at blogmediabreeze.com, or, Sandy at blogmediabreeze.com, just things like that. So you want to consider maintaining separate email accounts for different purposes: professional, personal, and spam. Your personal email address can be reserved for private correspondence, like with close friends, family, and other trusted contacts. Avoid publicly listing this address, though, okay? Your spam email can be used to sign up for accounts, services, and promotions and things like that, things that you do online, you know, and and you only want to do that online. And then finally, your professional email address is, whether you're a freelancer or affiliated with a particular organization, that's the one you can list publicly. That would be the one, like if you know, during this past year, a lot of people out of work, if you wanted to use only one particular email for job searches. Okay, whenever I see an email coming here from, through this email, I know that it has to do with a job. If I see this one, I know it's a family member, and so on and so forth. Okay. Also, the next item to help you protect yourself is you can review and maximize your privacy settings on social media. So you can review your privacy settings on social media profiles and make sure you're comfortable with the amount of information being shared and with whom. You want to be strategic about which platforms you use for which purposes. If you are using a platform for personal reasons like sharing photos with friends and family on Facebook or Instagram, then, tighten your privacy settings. Suppose you're using a platform for professional purposes, like monitoring breaking news on Twitter and tweeting links to your work. In that case, you may decide to leave some of the settings public, in which case, avoid including sensitive personal information and images. So, in other words, you don't mix your emails, you don't mix your privacy settings. We're going to really need to begin to separate and decipher how we're going to use our our online business, because a lot of us are doing that nowadays. Okay. I'm going to pause because I see a question. Xer says, how do doxers and hackers differ? Well, they're the same thing. A doxer is a hacker. They don't differ. Well, actually, a hacker is more detailed. Let me stop. A doxer is someone who goes in through a lot of the ways that I'm describing or have described earlier, and I'm going to summarize that shortly for people who came in late. Uh, a hacker is someone who goes in deep. A hacker actually knows coding, they know computer software programs, they know what they're looking at whenever they go into the details of certain parts of your the way the software is made up in the design of your computer. So a hacker knows how to get into all of that. FBI agents use hackers, and some of them also are hackers, okay? But they're not hackers for bad reasons. But they utilize hackers because it educates them on their job duties and how to find criminals. Because to hack into someone's online information is illegal. That is illegal. And people can go to jail for 10 years or more for that. So before you start doxing people, you want to think about those things and how you're doxing people. Okay. That's why I'm here today, is to talk to you about that. And there are some things, as I was sharing with you, like if like you see my avatar, that's what I really look like and everything. Plus, you can go through any of my videos and see what I really look like. But there is a particular avatar who, and other avatars who have been here online, and they say malicious things about people, and they say deceptive things about people, and put out information, and then they go and put out the person's real information, and um, it, so now what is happening is people are trying to locate that person, that they're trying to locate that person, and so they've doxed her and they've located her. So when you're online in these YouTube streets or these Google streets or Twitter streets and Instagram streets and all these places, you want to compose yourself in a way that does not draw attention to too much negativity, because people will dox you. People who do not know you will do that. So I'm here today to tell you how to protect yourself. And I have a few more things I want to go ahead and get through this real quickly. Um, the next thing that you can do is you can use what is known as multi-factor authentication. This means that you and anyone else trying to access your account will need at least two pieces of identification to log onto your site, usually your password and your phone number. It just makes it harder for hackers to access a person's devices or online accounts, because knowing your password alone is not enough. They will also need to access a PIN number. So one of the things that you guys can do, most people have one cellular phone, right? Um, I would suggest going and getting a prepaid phone from Walmart or Best Buy or Target or wherever you shop or wherever you can find one. Get a prepaid phone that you use online. I would even suggest getting I'm taking it a step further than Kaspersky, okay? I would suggest getting like two or three prepaid Visa cards or Mastercards, or those cards that they sell in CVS, Walmart and places like that. Get a prepaid card. Do not use your bank card, your real bank card. Don't use that online when you're buying things. What you do is you go to your bank, you get some cash, you put as much cash as you want on the prepaid card. Use your prepaid card online. Don't use your bank card online as much as possible. So that's another thing that I would suggest. You want to get rid of obsolete files. If you do not know how to do this, then the company that you use for your malware protection and your virus protection can get rid of obsolete files for you. Some people, like I've learned the process of getting rid of them, so I don't have to call my IT tech people, all the time. But you want to review how many sites have your information. While sites like MySpace may now be out of fashion, profiles that were put up over a decade ago are still visible and publicly accessible because people forgot about them, you guys. They forgot about them. Whenever Facebook came into play, it's like Facebook knocked everybody out and people were like, I'm going over here, forget this MySpace stuff, but you forgot to go in there and delete and get rid of your account and get rid of everything that said anything about you on MySpace, your pictures and everything. So you want to get rid of those obsolete files. This applies to any site that you might have formerly been active on. So you want to delete obsolete, old, unused files if you can. And so you want to do that, okay? You also want to be on alert for phishing emails. When I first started this segment, I shared with you that that it's not a good idea to click on an email and open it up if you don't know who sent it. Look at where the email is coming from. If the first part of that email is unrecognizable to you, you need to right click on your mouse and send it straight to spam. Okay, Google really does go in and research those spam emails. They really do. Also, once you send it to spam, if you're getting enough of them, you can contact the Federal Trade Commission who monitors spam emails. They have a division of the Federal Trade Commission. That's www.ftc.gov, which is another thing. Whenever you go into websites, you always want to use the HTTPS colon forward slash, then www dot wherever you're going to. So always use that no matter what website you're going to, because if you use that, when you get to that website, it'll let you know whether or not it's secure or not. Um, so you want to be alert for phishing emails. Doxers might use phishing scams to trick you into disclosing your home address, your social security number, or even passwords. So be wary whenever you receive a message that supposedly comes from a bank or a credit card company and requests your personal information. Financial institutions will never ask this information by email. Just know that. Credit unions, especially, they will never ask this information. You want to hide domain registration from um, and this is what I'm reading this from Kaspersky. They say you want to hide domain registration from WHOLS. Now, this was my first time even seeing that. For someone who is very keen-minded, no, maybe it's who is. That's what they're trying to say, but it's typed wrong. Yeah, hide your domain registration from who is. Who is a database of all registered domain names on the web. So write that down. When you get off here, you want to go to who is and hide your domain registration. This public register can be used to determine the person or organization that owns a given domain, their physical address, and other contact information. So you want to go there and get rid of that. If you plan to run a website anonymously while disclosing your real identity, make sure your personal information is private and hidden from the Who Is database. Domain registrars have control over these privacy settings, so you will need to ask your domain registration company about how to do so. So remember I was telling you earlier how you can go to different domains and set up, an email that has the suffix of your own name. If you don't know what a suffix is, it's like the end of the email. Like, you learned in English, there's prefixes and suffixes of words. So it's the same thing with emails. Everything before the @ sign is a prefix, and after the @ sign is a suffix. So you can go to domain companies and get a suffix with your own name. Okay. So you want to protect that. You can also, guys, you can ask Google to remove your information. And I want to pause here. Do you guys know that Google owns YouTube? Yes, Google owns YouTube, and they are the primary owner of YouTube. YouTube keeps its name, but that board of directors is Google now. So you can ask Google to remove your information. If personal information appears in Google search results, individuals can request its removal from the search engine. Google makes this a simple process through an online form. Many data brokers put this type of data online, usually for background checks or crime check information. So remember earlier, whenever I shared with you that Google I'm not Google, when I shared with you that data brokers can go in and get information that a lot of people cannot get or do not have access to. And that's because data brokers, they have real hackers at their hands. These are good hackers for them because they do investigations for companies, but nonetheless, they also can be bought by the average consumer if that person has the money to pay them for that information. You also want to scrub your data. You can remove your information from data broker sites. If you want to do it yourself without incurring costs, it can be labor intensive. If you have limited time, start with the three major wholesalers: Epsilon, Oracle, and Axiom. Epsilon is spelled Epsilon. Oracle, of course, we know Oracle, that's ORACLE, and also ACXIOM. So you can probably Google them, okay, and go to their sites and have your information and data scrubbed from those sites. You will need to regularly check these databases because your information can be republished even after being removed. And I had that happen to me because I went on a few sites and had my information scrubbed and removed, and then it reappeared. If there's an inquiry or if someone puts something in, it reappears. I don't know. Um, so you'll need to regularly maybe put on your calendar, get a calendar, and just check it every so often on a particular date. But you will need to regularly check these databases for that reason. You can also pay a service, and I didn't know this, but you can do this. And this is all from Kaspersky.com/resource center. Okay. So you can pay a service, and some of the services you can pay to have you deleted from all these websites and have your data scrubbed. There's a service called Delete Me, DELETE, capital ME. There's also one called Privacy Duck or Reputation Defender. These are people who can do that. So, Zer, you said you do yours once a year. I do mine like every 6 months for real. But even with me doing that, I went back into one of them and it was like, it was out there again. Um, Also, guys, I have three more I'm going to go over with you and then we're going to be done. The third one before the last two is be wary of online quizzes and permissions. Online quizzes may seem harmless, but they are often rich sources of personal information that you happily provide without thinking twice. Some parts of a quiz may even serve as security questions to your passwords. Oh my gosh, y'all, did you guys? I told you about that earlier. Remember? I was like, you have to be careful about the security questions. Don't use your favorites, you know? Um, since many quizzes ask for permission to see your social media information or your email address before showing you the quiz results, they can easily associate this information with your real identity without much context on who is launching the quiz and why it is best to avoid taking them all together. Mobile apps are also sources of personal data. Many apps ask for access permissions to your data or device that should not concern the app software at all. Hey, I'm on to that one. Okay. For example, an image editing app has no logical use for your contacts. Amen. I know that as well. I'm able to put two and two together when you're asking me for information, okay? If it is requesting access to your camera or photos, that makes sense. But if it also wants to look at your contacts, GPS location, and social media profiles, then proceed with caution. I always proceed with caution whenever, sometimes right after I get an update on my phone, next thing I know, um, apps are asking me for certain permissions. I read through those permissions and I'm not going to do it. There's just some things I'm not willing to do. I have to ask myself, how badly do I want this? Well, I don't want it that bad. My privacy is really important to me. Um, the last two are avoid disclosing certain types of information wherever possible. Avoid disclosing certain pieces of information in public, such as your social security number, your home address, your driver's license number, and any information regarding bank accounts or credit card numbers. Remember, hackers could intercept email messages, so you should not include private details in yours. When I'm in public and I'm standing at the bank, or if I'm standing at the grocery store, even at a customer service counter, if I'm trying to make an exchange, I ask the person to whisper because I live in North Carolina, you guys, which I don't mind you knowing, I don't care. Um, and people are loud, especially people of a certain culture. You go up to them and they yell out everything. So I'm always like, okay, can we just kind of keep this private? I'm about to give you some personal information and I don't want everyone behind me to hear it. Okay, I do that at my bank even. My bank is like, next. So I will even go in with things written down, and I'll say, "Listen, this is the information I need. When don't say it out loud, but when you're done, can you shred it?" Most of the time at my bank, for example, they know me, so they'll give it back to me. They're like, "Okay, here." So, but anyway, that's another thing. Make sure you own a good shredder. I bought a really good shredder from HSN because you want to shred even your medicine bottles. People just throw those things away haphazardly. Tear the sticker off and shred it. You know, I'm bad about that. I'm like OCD private. Um, so the last one is you want to check how easy it is to dox yourself. This is clever. Okay. Check how easy it is to dox yourself. The best defense is to make it harder for abusers to track down your private information. You can find out how easy it is to dox yourself by checking what information can be found about you. And I've done this before. I've Googled myself, of course. You Google yourself. You can carry out a reverse image search. You can even put your own phone number into the reverse phone number lookup and things like that. Um, you can audit your social media profiles, including your privacy settings. 4, you can check to see if any of your email accounts were part of a major data breach by using a site such as Have I Been, I don't know what this is that they have. It says, Have I Been PWNED.com. That this is on Kaspersky.com Resource Center if you guys want to know what that website is. If you go to their part that says check how easy it is to dox yourself, you'll get it correctly. I hope I said it and spelled it correctly. Also, you can check CVs, bios, and personal websites to see what personal information your professional presence conveys. If you have PDFs or CVs online, you want to be sure to exclude details like your home address, personal email, and phone number, or you can replace them with public facing versions of that information. That's why I said it's important to have a prepaid phone in addition to your regular billed phone, and you can use that prepaid phone number online. Um, and use prepaid cards instead of your bank card and bank information. I've noticed some places don't always accept that. Sometimes you can call them and do it over the phone as opposed to putting it online. Okay, if they don't accept it, um, but that's what I have for you guys today. There was one other thing I wanted to tell you. Okay, there are websites out there. There's Nuber.com, Nuwber.com. There's also fastpeoplesearch.com. Uh, there's also there are a lot of websites out there. Truth Finder, um, a lot of them. You can go into each of those websites and all are required to have a process for you to remove your information. Go into those websites, do a search on yourself. I would even pay, I have paid actually to do a search on myself, and you can have that information removed. You can opt out of having that information. Okay? Um, so before I go and get on with my other stuff that I'm going to actually download here, I'm not going to do a live. I have some Real Housewives content that I want to um, put on here today. Do you guys have any questions in the chat? Thank you, Shay Shay and Zer. Thank you. Zer says, good tips and resources. Maybe user cultures fail to protect their privacy because safeguard practices require vigilance. Yeah, it does require vigilance. And depending on how important it is to you, it's important to me. Um, so share this with your friends, have them come over, listen to it. And for those of you who are there, because I see that the the chat has, people in it, but then there are a lot more people in terms of numbers that I'm looking at. So, please give me a like to this video. I was saying earlier, this is really very valuable information. Um, and it's likable, so like it. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe, to my channel because I'm going to be coming back doing this a lot more. I also have an in the news segment that I do once a week, and I do Real Housewives and reality shows commentaries. Additionally, click the notification bell so that you'll know when I'm going to have this information. And if there are no further questions in the chat, I want to thank all of you for showing up. Oh, thank you, Queen of Philly's Hoagies and Subs. Thank you. I appreciate this. I love coming here doing this. I really am trying to get my channel. I'm so surprised my channel has like almost 800, subscribers. So my goal before the end of next week is really to have 1,000 total. So if you guys can go on and, subscribe to me if you have not subscribed and click the notification bell, I would appreciate it. And if nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast for you. You guys have a blessed 4th of July weekend and many blessings to you. Goodbye.